Welcome in to Louisiana Loaded Weekly here from the garage. As always, you can catch us on YouTube and all over social media. Give us a subscribe and follow there. Looking forward to our conversation this week. A dear friend, somebody who I've been in business with for a long time. He is now within sports agency. He's been around LSU football. He's been in the media, and we're going to catch up with all of it. It is the Prince, Derek Ponamsky. It's good to see you on an April Fool's Day, my friend.
Morning, everybody. How we doing, buddy?
Good to see you, man. Good to see you.
It's good to see you, man. Like a couple of weeks ago when I saw I was going to be in town, I was like, "Yeah, I'm get together," and you were like, "Come on the pod." I was like, "Absolutely." Which at that moment in time, I was like, "Oh, it's April Fool's Day."
Yeah, right.
But no, man, I'm glad to be here, bud.
Me too, man. I think it's a long time coming. Long time.
You know, I was looking at this. It's been almost 10 full years.
That's right.
Since you and I have done a show together.
SEC Media Days.
Yeah.
And we launched it.
Yeah. And so it's, I don't know, man. It doesn't seem like that long ago, does it?
It doesn't. I mean, you forget just for a while. I think people don't understand. Like, that was the dream for you and I.
Yes.
Like, we were in business to produce great radio for the rest of our life.
That's it. That is what
that's the only thing we could see 15 years ago.
Yeah. And I remember, so we were in New Orleans in 2011 covering the national championship game, and they were going to do the midday show. Mm-hmm. And the initial thought on that was that Hannegriff and then like rotating people around that. Mm-hmm. And then it ended up being me and Charlie and Jimmy every day. And then we go about a year and a half on that, and you know, they started talking about a morning show, and like you and I were like fighting, like yes. And we must have air checked 50 shows.
Oh my God!
Wow.
And like, because our whole thought was, the first time the public hears it, I don't want it to be the first show that they've ever heard, that we've ever done.
That's right.
And so we would go in there, and even with all the other stuff we were doing, we would do the morning show in the morning, and then we'd go do our regular stuff. And then by the time we got to where we went to SEC Media Days and we put it on the air, like we were comfortable.
Oh, bro, we were cooking.
Everything was like we were good. Like we knew.
Yeah, right.
You know, and the
put
thing
the
was
pressure on them.
Yeah, and the thing was, this was before the day and age where everything was podcasted.
That's right.
Everything was
Nothing
for
was
social. That's right.
This was strictly FM radio.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so like we did 2 hours. We reset, like we did the headlines and second lines, because again, nobody was listening to the pod.
That's right.
There was like at that point in time, and we would talk about this all the time, the guy who got in his car at 7:58 didn't know what we did at 7 o'clock.
That's right.
Yeah.
So we reset it and we did all that. Now, we also knew that, you know, that first hour, people were bringing their kids to school.
That's right.
They had themselves a little bit more.
G-rated.
Yeah.
Right.
Then you'd bring Flynn Foster on to make picks in the back end of the show, because that's where it would get a little off the rails.
PG-13. Yeah, right.
But, you know, and then to see where radio is now.
Yeah.
And to know that.
10 years.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like 1,000 years ago.
Oh my gosh. I mean, it's an unrecognizable medium than the one that you and I got in 15 years ago. I mean, we were using copyrighted music. We were using people's voices.
Yeah.
We were using all types of stuff that, I mean.
We would sit down and listen to Dan Lebitard and Stugotz.
Oh my God.
Over and over. And we were like.
And then like.
Right,
even like individually together, we'd call each other.
Yeah.
You're like, bro, I loved what they did at the 8:45 mark. We need to do that. I mean, like it was.
Hey, I'm sending you this clip of Mike and the Mad Dog.
It was obsession. It was obsession. And then out of nowhere, like I don't think the public has heard this, especially from you and I, because we've never told this publicly. But I mean, we left work on a Friday.
No. We left the LSU postgame show against Auburn.
Oh my God! So we got the pre.
The last time we ever. That's right.
That's right.
The last time we ever did Culotta and the Prince was just a random Friday. You and I had no clue that was the last show we were ever doing.
No clue.
We go do the pre and the post game,
because within Culotta and the Prince, we started having Ogeron on every week when he's out of work.
In 14.
In 14.
Oh, okay.
So Ponamsky and Ogeron's relationship is great. Ogeron's down here living in South Louisiana again. His year out, he was just the USC interim coach. Probably should have gotten the job. He felt like he should have gotten the job.
And I think history shows
he should have gotten the job. That's right. That's right. By the way he performed, really, after Lane was fired. He comes back down here. He's trying to kind of get reinvigorated with high school football coaches. He starts coming on once a week, and people fall in love with him. We fall in love with him. I mean, it's a great radio segment, and we're almost like pushing him to become the defensive line coach at LSU. And he gets hired as the defensive line coach, does all the things. We're having a great time on radio. Les gets fired. They look at the staff. O has the experience. They make him the interim guy. And in the meantime, Ponamsky and I had gotten the pre and post game on the LSU Sports Radio Network. Cool. So we were doing the pre and the post game show for the network, for the big show.
Yeah.
And that was the last show that we did. That was the last show that we did.
We're in the administration building.
That's right.
On the 5th floor in the studio.
Auburn.
On the DJ Chark catches the ball after the ball snap. Danny throws it after the clock has expired, and the game ends. And we're sitting in the studio, and I get a text from Joe Oliva that just says, "Only talk about the game." And I look at Jordy. I'm like, "Oh, this is."
Yeah, right. Here's the marching orders.
I'm like, we got to be careful here, buddy.
Right. Yeah.
There's a lot of landmines out here. Yeah, right. We did not take calls.
We did not. That's right. That's right.
And
we just like read the game report.
That's it. We simply did that. I think we did the scoreboard 6 times.
Third quarter action, they ran Fournette off the right side at the 2:30 mark. I mean, it was like
elsewhere in the SEC today.
Which I had no idea that was the last one.
Not to that effect. I think we could feel the ground swelling that maybe Les was out.
Yeah.
But what was going to happen in the fallout of that, nobody could have really imagined. I mean, I think you were in the Guarantee building like 2:00 in the morning.
Yeah. So when the plane lands, I get a text from Coach O. He says, "Hey, let's get together." And so I'm like, all right, because I had went back to Guarantee to go do some we would.
Yeah.
It's after the game, you do some work. Jordy and I were always the kind of guys where we would prefer to do the work right when we knew we had to do it, as opposed to
showing up.
So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go in there and do some stuff. Get a text from Coach. They get back to football ops. He drives over to the radio station, and we sit there, and he's like, hey, if this happens, this is what I want to happen. He kind of goes through, I'm gonna put Steve Ensminger in as the offensive coordinator. I'm going to move Dennis Johnson to linebackers. I'm going to bring in Pete Jenkins, just all this stuff. Okay, great. Everything's good to go and all this other stuff. So the next day, there's a team meeting. He texts me, and he's like, hey, 4:00 team meeting. I'm like, okay. And then 10 minutes later, because Austin Thomas was there at that time, AT calls me, and he goes, hey, Coach wants you here at 3:45. And I'm like, okay, all right.
Cool.
Be great info for the show tomorrow.
This would be awesome.
Insider.
I'm going to sit in the meeting.
Yeah, right.
And so I go there, and everything happens, and it was a really, really, really surreal.
Sure.
Because Coach Miles comes in and says goodbye.
Wow.
And then, and look, the whole world knows this. I've always had a great relationship with Coach Miles.
Yeah.
Love that guy.
Yeah.
Right? Like I see his son Ben at Southern all the time. He's on Marshall's staff. And so that was kind of tough. And then Coach O comes in, and he immediately takes out a rope, and they do the, hey, offense on this side, defense on this side, nobody wins. The strength staff on this side, training staff on this side, all that stuff. And then, the whole thing is, if we all get on one side of the rope, we have a chance. All right. And so guys immediately knew that things were going to be done a little bit differently, not completely different. Yeah. And I think that was one of Coach O's strengths, was that he looked at this and he was like, there's a lot of things that work here. And so they were able to kind of, put the players process it, and players are much more resilient than the fan base.
Absolutely.
Right? Absolutely.
I've seen that now way too many times in my own life, where the fan base, they carry this stuff for a long time.
Right.
And so the next day is the press conference, and I don't do the radio show that morning.
That's right.
Right? Because I've been asked to go in and help with all the other stuff. And then it was never like clearly communicated to me, hey, I want you to do this.
Right.
But I'm constantly being asked to help with things, whatever like that. So we're at the press conference, and my wife is sitting at her office watching the press conference. And Coach O says,
oh my God,
I just hired Derek Ponamsky. And I immediately like look up, and I'm like, what just happened?
And I'm like,
oh gosh.
And I'm in the back of the room, and there's a bunch of people that I still kind of sort of work with.
Oh shit.
And I remember like Jordy had looked like he had seen 1,000 ghosts. And Gordy's standing over there, and Gordy just starts laughing. Because Gordy knows I got to call my wife. And I'm like, oh my God. So I talked to Gordy, and and the whole thing was like, at that point in time, I'm not thinking he's going to be the head coach at LSU for 6 seasons.
Sure, absolutely.
Right? I'm thinking it's like 10 weeks. And you and I talked about it, and you were like, bro, we will find a way. When this is over, you're going to come back and have unbelievable content. Right? And Jordy and Gordy we're all on the same boat there. And then there's things happen. But the last time, we never got a chance to say, hey, signing off, whatever like that. Here's the highlights. This is the first meeting of the minds and all that. Like there was just, it just kind of ended.
It did.
And in some ways, it's probably better for us.
Right.
Because there was no like emotional attachment to something ending.
Mm-hmm.
But then at the other, and I tell this, like my brother and I have this conversation all the time. He's like, hey, something will be happening in the world of sports. He's like, hey, do you miss it? And I'm like, I miss it like 4 days a year.
No doubt.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's like 4 days a year when I wake up and I'm like, if I was sitting next to Jordy and that light comes on, I would absolutely like, I got this one, Jay. Sit tight, buddy.
Right.
Just tell me when the hard out is.
That's right.
But the rest of the time, like it's just like it's so hard in a world full of voices to find a new approach to what's going on.
That's right.
And I've been tremendously I'm the luckiest dude on the planet. Like to be able to have Coach O bring me in, to be a part of what we were a part of. It's just funny. I work for a sports agency now, and I go around and I visit with coaches, I visit with players, and it doesn't matter where I go, someone's always like, hey, tell me about 2019.
No doubt.
And it's like, well, to truly tell you the story of 2019, you got to talk about 2017 and losing to Troy.
Mm-hmm.
And like we won a national championship that day.
Mm-hmm.
And there were things that happened in that season in 2017 where the LSU people saw things that were happening. They're like, I just don't understand this. And it's like, oh, we didn't understand it at the time, but once
everything's settled.
Yeah, once Ed Ogeron and Joe Oliva were able to sit down and go, okay, these are the problems that we have, and we've got to fix these things, then we were able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And 41-9 until COVID, then 11-11. Because the thing about it is that we had a lot of players,
mm-hmm.
and we practiced very fast. And when you get to the point in time where the COVID restrictions come in and we didn't have a lot of players, I mean, this was before the transfer portal where you could sign 40 guys.
Yeah.
Right? So you have 24 seniors, you have 13 guys leave early, you have Jamar, Tyler Shelvin, and Kerry Vincent opt out. Like we were in the 50s
mm-hmm.
to start.
Yeah.
And then working through all the things that you're working through, the way that defense got together at the back end of the season in 20, if Miles Brennan would have stayed healthy, I mean, we were scoring 40 points a game.
No doubt.
Until he got hurt.
Yeah.
And then you got two true freshmen. So those things happen.
Yeah.
And you got to be able to find a solution to what was going on with that. And then the next season, I think it's one of the funniest things in my life is that
18?
And no,
because 18 is kind of an overlooked year. People.
Oh, I'm telling you, it's one of the funniest things in my life that in 18. So we lose in the swamp.
Mm-hmm.
He
had 2 picks that day. Didn't he have a pick 6 that day?
Yeah, pick 6 late.
Yeah,
and that.
Right.
If you watch the film, you understand that the throw was there, the route wasn't.
Right. Yeah.
And the kid that picked it off was a kid from New Orleans, and so when he scores and does everything, it's like, oh my God, we must have missed on everything. And but then that's what I was going to say is one of the funniest things ever is we lose that game, we lose the Alabama game, and Joe got hurt in practice that week.
Thursday, right? It was like late in that week.
Thursday. And we couldn't do any QB run because we had no backup quarterback.
You had a separated shoulder?
Miles had a back thing. He had like so we couldn't use him. And then we lose 7 overtimes to
A&M.
To A&M. So then it's one of the funniest things ever is like you go in after the 18 season to the 19 season, and everybody's talking about this, that, and the third and everything, and there were only 3. Like I remember sitting in my office and Joe Burrow comes in and sits down, and we're just talking about the year, or whatever. And Joe's like, "I just can't wait to play Florida, Alabama, and Texas A&M." I mean, like the Terminator.
Yeah.
Those 3 losses meant something to him.
Yeah.
And so we play Florida, and we do pretty well. That Alabama game. I've never done drugs, but I can only imagine that's the high that people are chasing for the rest of their life.
Gracious.
Gotta be.
Goodness.
I
still get chills in that game. Like just the whole thing.
And then
Ogeron running out at Alabama that day is still when he's just like he wants to fight.
Juiced.
Oh, let me tell you something.
He's like, he's just foaming.
Let me tell you something. All right, so the night before, Coach O would always the night before the team meeting, you'd have the hype video, and we would always play like the public hype video that we would put out on Thursday. We'd play that, and then we'd do another internal one just for the team,
which got a life of its own. Got people jobs.
Yeah,
a lot of people jobs.
Yeah,
those hype videos got people hired.
Real.
Yeah, and it's funny because behind my desk it had LSU. Let's stay unique. Right, we'd have the creative meetings, and the people would come in and they'd say, "Oh, I saw Clemson was doing this. I saw Oklahoma was doing this." I'm like, I don't care. We're LSU, and it's still like a point of pride for me is that we never paid anybody a single penny for any. I got Anthony Mackie.
You get the Rock.
I got the Rock.
Yeah, so wait, go back to the Bama story.
Yeah, I'll tell you. So we're in there, and Sam Nader is the greatest human being that's ever walked on this planet. He has no peer, right? I saw him at Devonta
Irreplaceable.
Irreplaceable.
That's right.
I saw him at Devonta Lee's services 2 weeks ago, and Coach Ponamsky, how you doing?
Right.
Like, it's just like the greatest. And so the night before, at that point in time, LSU had a hard time beating Alabama, specifically in Tiger Stadium. But there was a long history of winning games in Tuscaloosa or Birmingham, like in the state of Alabama. So Coach O, knowing the history, he says, "Sam, I want you to address the team. I want you to tell the team about this." And this wasn't rah-rah. This wasn't I'm chewing scenery. This wasn't I'm breaking chairs. This wasn't none of that. This was a guy that every person in that program trusted with their life.
Dad.
Yeah.
Stood up in front of everybody and said, "Gentlemen, this has been done before. And the teams that did it were not nearly as good as this team in this room." I'm telling you right now, when I tell you that was the best, Coach O knew what he was doing. And Coach O had his speech was incredible. Moffitt's was incredible. But to have that calm voice stand in front of everybody and tell them, like this is our day. Mm-hmm. And we get on the bus, and you got to drive from Birmingham into Tuscaloosa, and the president was there that day. Mm-hmm. So we had to go through all of the protocols at the hotel. I rode I rode bus 1, seat 2, and bus 1, row 2. Coach Robinson was in row 1 that day. Coach O was over here. I was in row 2, and I had one of the guys from the Secret Service riding on the bus with us, like right next to me. And we turn off the interstate, and all of a sudden, it's just like you. It's the biggest thing
the biggest college game in the country.
And so we get to where you're about to turn into Bryant Denny, and I mean everybody's out there, and the Secret Service guy looks over at Coach O and he looks at me and he goes, "How do you do this every week?" And I was like, "Well, first of all, this isn't every week, right? This is not every week."
Right. Yeah.
I said, but if you think this is like, if this is something that's got your attention, I said, just wait until he runs out, because we knew. He knew he had the better team.
Yeah.
He told them.
He told them I remember he told us on Friday when y'all were leaving for the plane.
Yeah.
Because he looked at me and he was like, "Don't worry, Culotta, we got the better team."
Yeah.
And I was thinking like, he believes that. Like he ain't trying to calm
when
me
we were
down.
there in 2017 and we lost that game and he did "we're coming."
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He knew.
Yeah.
Because at that point in time, he identified what the problems were.
Yeah.
And he knew what the solutions were.
Right.
And we were able to get that done. And like the CBS people were like, "You should run out." He's like, "I'm not going out until they go out. We're going." Like it was almost like if you're old enough to remember the Ohio State LSU game in Tiger Stadium, where it's like, "I'm not going out until they go out." That's right. Yeah. I'm not going out until they go out.
Yeah.
And I'm standing on the sideline, and all of a sudden you hear cannons go off, fireworks, everything, all this other stuff. And I just look over, and
I'm telling you,
for as fast as Patrick Queen is, Ed Orgeron was faster.
And CBS has the ground camera. He's got it on the ground, so you're like looking at like it's a great shot
up at him in the stadium.
You can. I mean, and when it's time, I mean, it's as if he is the starting linebacker for LSU taking the field.
Yeah,
and they show him, and there's this. I remember like sitting in my living room watching, thinking like, they're gonna win today. They're gonna win it. They're gonna win today.
And Jordy, like that was a very good Alabama team.
Oh,
okay, it was a very good Alabama team, but they score on a punt return when Racy goes down and Racy has the tackle and then gets the face mask and he doesn't do it. Yeah. We never gave up punt return touchdowns.
It was the third quarter. Really, that game other than the third quarter.
But the other thing is,
you beat the hell out of them.
They ran fake lookovers and got deep.
They got Stingley on that.
And then we have a situation where because of injury and targeting, we had like significant backups playing a lot of the time deep in the game in the secondary.
Yeah.
And
the 90 seconds before halftime where Clyde goes over the top, you kick off, first play, Queen gets the pick.
PQ gets the pick.
2 seconds of that return, it looks like he's going to house it.
Yes.
He gets cleaned up. Kerry Vincent gets cleaned up off to the pile. You get the 15 yards. Burrow steps out there. One play later, you strike to Hilaire in the end zone. It's still, to me, the finest 90 seconds of LSU football, maybe in the history of the program.
It's up there, but I'll also tell you, that drive at the end of the game,
where he scrambles for the first?
That drive at the end of the game where we put it away.
Yeah.
That was big boy football.
When did you know, like the story goes, always tells the story, the staffer calls him on Saturday morning and says, "Coach, it's the middle of the summer and your entire team is here going through workouts without coaches."
He and I were sitting.
I remember Devin White told me at his pro day, he was like, "I got to do this." He said, I don't want to go because
I'm not going to betray Devin when I say this. On the day that he announced, he came and sat in my office and we talked. And he was literally like,
you could tell he was like, "This is not. I don't want to do this."
Now, the thing that makes me feel really good.
Yeah, he's the fifth pick.
Well, I mean, generational money, fifth pick, and all that. But he wins a Super Bowl.
Yeah,
he goes to the right place.
That's right.
But he knew.
Mm-hmm. I remember. He was like, "You." He's like, "You don't understand that team." He almost was like, "They're going to be the best team ever."
Yeah, and the thing about it is that, and again, this is the history of LSU is that you get 2 years of Tyron, 2 years of Jeremy Hill, 2 years of Daniil Hunter, 2 years of Trey Turner, like real dudes that don't stick around. All of that, yeah. And so that year, Devin and Greedy were the only two that turned pro. Everybody else came back. And the only other person who was drafted was Foster. And I would tell everybody, all the NFL scouts would come through and like, you guys don't really have a lot of guys in the draft this year. I looked at them, I'm like, you know what that means for everybody else in college football, right?
Bad news.
And they're like, oh, yeah. I'm like, yeah. So instead of a Michael Divinity leaving or a Damian Lewis leaving or a Braden Fajoko leaving or
That's right.
guys that
Tolliver.
Yeah, guys that
should have been there a
historically
year.
would have left. And no, those guys were all there.
That's right.
And there were NFL teams that were asking me after 18 about Lloyd Cushenberry turning pro. And then Lloyd comes back. And then all the things like that where it's like we had a very, very, very mature team.
Yeah.
And then you added in like freshman pieces like Stingley. I mean, I don't know if Greedy would ever say this, but like I think part of the reason Greedy left is he probably was looking at like, okay, I'll go be a first or second round pick, and but you know, Greedy opted out in the middle of the A&M game in 18. So sometimes nicknames are appropriate.
What did Joe Brady mean to the 19 team?
Joe Brady meant an awful lot to the 19 team because Coach O knew exactly what he wanted the offense to look like. And when Joe Brady came in that summer, it was him, Pete Carmichael, and Terry Fontenot. And they each seminared with different people on the staff. And Coach O then was like, hey, and then Coach O's good friends with Joe Moorhead. And so he reached out to Joe Moorhead. He's like, hey, tell me about just Brady. And you know the story because I've told you the story. I've never said it publicly, but I'm sitting at the Saints NFC Championship game.
Yeah, right.
And my family's season tickets for forever, Section 254.
This is Nolan no call.
Yeah. Section 254, which is not there anymore. They cut that out of the Superdome. And the play happens directly in front of us. And everybody is like, the world just ended. Sure. This is unbelievable.
Sure, absolutely.
And I get a text from Coach O and he goes, set the meeting with Brady. I'm like, what?
Come on, man.
And I'm like, but that
ball didn't even hit the ground yet.
But that's the thing is I'm like, all right, fair enough.
Yeah.
And the guy who doesn't get the credit that is deserved in that situation is Steve Ensminger.
Absolutely.
Because Steve Ensminger is one of the greatest teammates you will ever find in your entire life. And there's never before and never will be a relationship in college football or pro football between a head coach who's a defensive guy and an offensive coordinator like Ed Ogeron and Steve Ensminger.
Yeah.
And they both knew what they needed to do to take it to the next level. Steve had no ego. Hey, come on in. Sit down. Let's talk about this. And everything worked out great on that. And, you know, the only thing Ensminger ever cared about was winning. Hey, you know, you want to get nominated for the Broyles Award?
Yeah.
Give it to Brady.
Hope you win it, baby.
Yeah, you know, whatever. And there was a lot of people on that staff like that. But to get to the point in time where you've got everybody working together, pulling on the same side of the rope, and having that level of success, and as you know, sometimes when you have that level of success, it becomes a lot harder because everybody's dying for the credit.
Sure.
Yeah.
There was never a situation where anybody in that, and I mean, if you go look at that staff that we had in 2019, their support, like Roy Anderson was like an analyst on our team.
Yeah.
Roy won a Super Bowl as the defensive backs coach with the Eagles last year. I mean, that like if you go look through that, like
there's 19s littered everywhere.
I mean, it's unbelievable.
It's everywhere. Like the degrees of 19. Yeah. When you like you'll be like looking at rosters, you look at coaching, and you're like, that guy was on 19 staff.
Yeah. Wow. Oh, I like. Yeah. We had in our defensive, the analyst on our defensive staff, Kevin Coyle, Kevin Cosgrove.
Coyle came from the Bengals, right?
Yeah, he was the Miami Dolphins defensive coordinator.
Yeah, right.
Cosgrove was the sitting defensive coordinator at New Mexico, who prior to that was at Nebraska and all these other places. And, I mean, just like unbelievable dudes. Aaron Schwanz, like, I mean, like guys that, like these guys could have been calling defenses everywhere, and they were all in there. And then on the offensive side of the ball, like, I mean, you look at it now, Brady, Mangus, James Craig's back here.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, there was a lot of really smart people, and probably the smartest thing that most of these guys did, and it came from the top of Coach O, was that, like, it wasn't about credit. Like, let's just go win.
Yeah.
And it was fun to be around. The other thing about it is that, obviously, like, that's our resume.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Everything we do for the rest of our lives is like
a part of the 19 team, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I loved Joe Brady talking back and forth, and it gave you some insight of just how that lives. Like, he was talking about him and Ken Dorsey. Dorsey was the OC, and Brady was the quarterback's coach for Buffalo when they first got started. Right. And they'd say, like, there wasn't a meeting that would happen where it didn't turn into a debate of 19 versus 2001 Miami. Like, it would always go back to that type of debate, and to hear Brady's, like, just assurance and confidence of, like, anybody would play. We'd play anybody.
And so, like, it's funny to me because I've done some work with some of the coaches down at the University of Miami, and I've spent a bunch of time down there, and they always, there's no way you, and I'm like, look, guys,
I get it.
I tell them all. I said, guys, I'm not here to tell you what's right or what's wrong. I said, it's completely flattering that we're in the conversation.
That's right.
I said, I'm just going to ask you one question. Like, what's that? I said, your life's on the line. Is Ken Dorsey your quarterback or Joe Burrow?
I mean, next. Yeah. What do you make of the new age LSU football? It kind of feels like it's getting back to some of that swagger, pride, and feel around the program that you guys had it clipping at.
The thing that I can tell you is, in an introductory press conference for a head coach to stand there and say this place is just different, he gets it. Mm-hmm. He understands why, which he should, because Lane is somebody that talks often with Coach O and with Nick Saban.
Yeah.
And so those are people who know
inside tracks.
Okay, this place it's a little different.
Yeah.
And if you got some idiosyncrasies to you, this is what you're looking for. Mm-hmm. If you're more, corporate Wall Street type, this ain't the place for you. Mm-hmm. It'll eat you up and chew you out pretty quickly. Mm-hmm. But if you're somebody that's gonna, maybe troll a little bit,
he reminds me a lot of Will Wade. I mean, before all the Will Wade stuff happened,
Jordy, you're 100% correct.
I mean, like, you can be in the room with them, but they don't recognize anything else. They don't hear a lot of stuff. They're zoned in on their deal. They don't do well in these types of settings. You would think they would, but they're really uncomfortable. They don't really like to get into storytelling. They like to be brief, get out.
Yeah.
Right? But they also, like, you give them basketball or football, it doesn't matter what you put in the room, what you put around. They are like laser focused on doing that.
And this much is true. Okay. Coach Saban wins the national championship. Coach Miles wins the national championship. Coach O wins the national championship. Coach Kelly does not. Saban recruited 365 days a year. Miles recruited 365 days a year. Ogeron recruited 365 days a year. We've heard stories about the different structure that they had under Coach Kelly, where he didn't recruit 365 days a year. And it's not about having I know how good of a recruiter Frank is. I know how good of a recruiter Austin is. Like, those guys are really good at it. But if the guy who's sitting in the corner office isn't doing the work, it doesn't get done.
Not gonna work.
Right. Because at the end of the day, they're not going to play for the associate head coach or the general manager or whatever. They're going to play for the head coach. And that's the difference that I see right now between what I've seen the last couple of years, specific to this place, is the head coach is recruiting constantly. Sometimes he's trolling people on the internet or whatever like that.
It all goes back to recruiting, right?
It's all it is recruiting.
Yeah.
Your social presence is recruiting. Because one of the tenets that we have is that visible is valuable. Right? When you are visible and everyone sees you, then everyone knows what that's about. The other thing is that we talk about, like with Will Wade, is that all politics are local too, right? So the LSU fans can admire and love what Will does, what Lane does, what Coach Mulkey does, what Jay Johnson does. Nobody in Fayetteville or Gainesville or Starkville needs to care about that.
Yeah.
Right. The only thing that matters is what happens here.
Yeah.
And Lane being in Baton Rouge in football ops, look, shooting out an Instagram picture at 11:59 of you walking out of the building, like that's recruiting.
Right. Pouring coffee at 3:59.
That's right.
Yeah.
That is everybody in the that is everybody in the building knowing my head coach is telling everybody I'm at work. And that's what recruiting is.
And recruiting to people like us, you've seen it from the inside, obviously, and you've talked about those coaches, but recruiting to people who are kind of watching it from the outside and passionate about it from the outside, they look at what the roster looks like, right? Like, do they get the players or not? It feels like LSU's getting the players again.
No, Jordy, you're 100% correct. There are some of the best recruiters in the world that are at places that walk in with the wrong logo on.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
You have to be. Bill Bush is one of the best recruiters in the history of college football.
Got Joe Burrow, right?
Got Alex Smith to Utah. What other safeties coach has recruited 2 number 1 draft pick quarterbacks?
Right.
But when he was at Rutgers, he wasn't recruiting the same way he was at LSU. You throw that logo on him, he closes everything. Now, the other thing that you have to look into all this is that where the NIL has changed, the landscape of this is that there are places that they don't recruit as hard, and then they'll just come at the end and say, "Well, I'll throw some money this way." No, recruiting is not simply about
transactional.
No, it's not. What recruiting is establishing a relationship and knowing these are the idiosyncrasies of this particular person.
Yeah.
Right? We knew in recruiting how to put a report together to say this is how we're going to coach this player.
Right.
They constantly want to be told that they're great. They constantly need approval. You're able to know that in recruiting.
The Jamar Chase putting all the coaches in the Sprinter van and going down to his house. No doubt about it. That played right into his.
No doubt about it.
You just need to feel love, right?
Yeah. And that wasn't specific to Jamar. That was specific to his family.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's the thing is that's what recruiting is. If this was just simply transactional where it was I'm going to sign a check, there are places that have 12x, 15x the money that some of the places that are winning. Indiana doesn't have the most money. Where Indiana won a national championship is they didn't miss in evaluations. They knew the types of temperament and personality that would fit into what they were doing. They want to get hyper competitive guys. They don't want to get guys that are like, if you're asking them, well, who am I going to compete against? Like, that's a red flag for them. Right? That's a red flag.
Yeah.
They just want you. They want to bring in somebody who's like, I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm better than everybody else.
Where's my opportunity?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you look at the way that college football is now, but I had coaches that I work with on the Indiana staff. I have coaches that I work with on the Miami staff. Having seen those teams the last 2 years in person, it's not accidental that they played for a national championship game. That is by design. And they had the right coaches that were able to line them up and call the plays. But the three of us know players beat plays. But if you got Joe Brady who comes in and adds to what we have and puts everybody in the right play, and you've got those players, you can't be beat.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, you're literally asking to go into a game where you just got to make a bunch of mistakes. I think about this all the time in that 2019 season. All right, so I'm just going to ask you guys, Will, what is the singular most important play of the 2019 LSU football season?
The singular most important play? I mean, the one that brought you a national championship, the last play.
Nope. Most important play of the 2019 season.
2019 most important play of the season. I'm thinking big games. Alabama?
Nope.
No, I don't know.
You remember the final score of the Auburn game?
Yes.
What was the final score of the Auburn?
21-19.
So there was a play in the, I think we went by 3 points. There was a play in the second quarter, a little inside handoff that they bust.
Yeah.
That Grant Delpit runs down and tackles that guy at the 2-yard line.
That's right. And they turn it over,
And
don't
we
they?
goal line stand.
Goal line stand.
They get nothing.
That's right.
We used to have, the Coach O did Winning Edge, and he would show all these things about how every single play matters. Grant Delpit, middle of the second quarter, 6th game of the season, or whatever. At that point in time, it was that was the 8th game of the season. Grant Delpit runs down the guy. We goal line stand, and we win the football game. That is the most important play of the season. But it's not, it's not Clyde, trucking 2 guys to get in the end zone against
Burrow to Chase, Burrow to Jefferson. He's flashy.
It's not Terrace Marshall high pointing the ball in the
Thaddeus
Superdome.
Moss.
It's not no. It's not Joe stepping up, Clyde making the block, Jets coming on a crosser and turning it up and going in. No, like all of those plays mattered.
Yeah.
But if Grant at the 7-yard line decides to pull up and let him walk into the end zone,
you're not the greatest team of all time.
Possibly not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You talk to coaches all over the country. What's the feeling on Lane Kiffin, and then specifically Lane Kiffin at LSU?
Well, the feeling on Lane Kiffin is that there's a lot of those guys that they're definitely afraid of him being at a place where he has access to the talent that he has here. Mm-hmm. But they also know that the maturity level that Lane has now is that he's got one of the best general managers in football in Billy Glasscock running the show. Mm-hmm. I got the chance to spend some time with Billy. He is impressive.
Yeah. That's all we've heard on him.
Yeah. Impressive.
That's all we've heard
everybody,
on him.
yeah.
Everybody.
Like, I've seen a lot of people across the country that'll say, hey, I'm going to tell you what's going on with this. And you sit there and about halfway through, you're like, okay, buddy.
You don't get it, buddy.
Okay, buddy. Right. Yeah. Right. Oh, so what you're saying is that if you had $30 million, you can do this. Yeah. Okay, what are you going to do with 12? Yeah. How do you get that done? And one of the things that was very impressive about what they did at Ole Miss was that they didn't miss in evaluations. The majority of their money was on the field, with the exception of the fact that the starting quarterback who got hurt and then Chambliss comes in, that was the money that wasn't on the field. Right. It's one thing to say you've got $50 million, but if you're spending that money on guys that aren't playing, I think that was a problem that we had here in Baton Rouge last year watching that. Mm-hmm. There were a lot of guys that were big ticket items that came in that didn't produce. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing, is that if you're in the world that we're in now, if you can't put your players on the field that you have invested in, and look, I know that some places would make decisions on, we're going to play this guy because we're paying him. Mm-hmm. That to me is that's counterintuitive to everything. Mm-hmm. So you made a mistake on paying him. Now you're going to make a bigger mistake on playing him?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense.
It's not double down.
Yeah.
No. And if you're in a hole, like, throw him a rope, not a shovel. Right? Mm-hmm. Like, hey, you're not performing. We're going to play this guy. And, maybe something happens. And so what I think, and I went to practice yesterday. I watched that. Everything's competitive. You could tell, like in much the same way with Coach O, you could tell that Pete Carroll, like the influence that they have there, in terms, and everything's fast paced. There's no standing around in a practice field. They're not out there for forever. They get a lot of reps, which was excuse me, which was the way that like before COVID, that was every day for us. Mm-hmm. And then to see that and to know that, like, they've found some players that they brought in. I mean, this number 2, Benfield.
Oh my God, he looks like DBU.
Yeah,
I mean, but that's part of it.
And the other thing
like
is
DJ Pickett, you're like, there's a breath of fresh air.
Yeah,
this cat looks the part.
Well,
man.
And the other thing I'll tell you is that give a lot of credit to Kevin Peoples. That defensive line looks like an LSU defensive line. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, Whit Weeks wasn't out there practicing, but Blake's got a couple other guys that he got a young linebacker that reminds me a lot of Damone.
Clark?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And knowing how close Blake and Damone were and knowing how important Blake was in that development, like that's the kind of stuff that gets me excited. I forget
It's not Tylen Singleton, is it?
It possibly could be.
Yeah. Because I mean I've seen the same, just very heady. I think he changed his number, so I don't know I think he was 24 last year, but just
all
smart,
I can tell
heady,
you is
like Damone.
All I can tell you is 10 years ago you and I would have we would have known the name, the whole thing.
Yeah, right.
Unfortunately, I'm
started as a sophomore down at Lutcher.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
But no, that
his
is,
Uncle Jeff's a member of Shea's board. Yeah,
right.
All that stuff.
That game has gotten a lot different, right? In covering recruiting now. I mean, it's more like you're a gossip columnist.
Yeah, no,
you got to keep up with everything. I don't mean it degrading.
No.
It's just like
you're absolutely
it's just
true.
What it
Jay.
is. It's like
Jay, you're true. It's absolutely true because the thing about it is that, like back in the day, it was a situation where you'd call the school, the head coach would put the kid on the phone, the kid would tell you this, he'd give you his home phone number, you'd call the mom or the dad, the mom and the dad would say, these are the places we're going to take our visits, and then it was, it wasn't a text message every day. It was the other, things that were done to just kind of get information, and then the other stuff was all filled in by the coaching staffs who would call you and say, hey,
you're staying here.
Will and Jordy are coming in for visits this weekend. Blah 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 blah.
Right.
Now, recruiting has changed to the point in time where, like, the recruits themselves, are the ones that are out there, and it's all about brand awareness and brand building. And
now I have to pay these guys to show up on unofficial visits. Like,
Jordy, the
it's,
system.
It's
skewed.
We used to sit there and Coach O would say, if you don't come to work out at camp, I can't have a proper evaluation.
Right.
And 2 summers ago, I was at a school with a coach that I work with, and the defensive coordinator comes in and he says, hey, this guy's agent just called and said that it's going to take $20,000 for him to come on an unofficial visit. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, buddy, I literally remember watching Tyrann Mathieu cut the line every single rep.
That's right.
Oh, Jarvis is coming up. I'm getting up there. Odell's coming up. I'm getting up there. Like, he cut the line every single time. You and I were standing there and I was like, that dude's a dog.
The Quincy Wiggins, Will Campbell matchup.
Yes.
I mean, like,
yes.
Brother, you got that in June.
Yeah.
Like, they were in helmets and shorts playing like it was 3rd and short.
Yeah.
I mean, it was some of the most intense battles you've ever seen.
But those are the things where that's the identifier that you want. How much do you want to compete? And the hard part about this world we live in now is does the kid want to compete, but the agent is saying all this other stuff? How do you sort through that? How do you tear it apart to know does this kid want to compete, but he's just got somebody who's trying to leverage all this stuff? And that's, that's, and look, I don't know what the system's going to look like 3 years from now. I don't believe it looks like this.
Yeah.
I think there'll be some massive changes.
What about on college campuses? Because Verge was here about a month and a half ago. They brought Will Wade back this week, that's enormous news, and it's great for the community. It's great for the town. People like you and I love it, who love Will and love basketball.
I came in to go to his press conference.
I saw that. That was fantastic.
Saw your dad. Hadn't seen Frankie in years.
All the made men were out. The mafia was out.
Mafia was out. Big time.
But really, does basketball matter on college campuses anymore?
Yes,
I mean, it does.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Without question.
Because I'm kind of like fading into the mindset of like only thing that matters now is football. That's
again,
wrong.
All politics are local, right? And right now, what we're experiencing in Baton Rouge is that after 3 years of, like, look, BK's first year, SEC championship game. Okay, next year, win a Heisman, another Cheez-It Bowl, back-to-back Texas Bowls. Right now, we know we have to fix football. That is the most important thing. And I say we as an LSU supporter. Before we went to school, like everything else. That's what has to be done. You have to fix football. But I know from being other places and traveling around the country, basketball matters.
So if I focus on basketball, does baseball slip?
Well, I think this is a unique place because here there are enough people who care about baseball to do that.
Right.
I can't tell you that that's the case everywhere else.
Yeah.
And but look, I feel for Jay. The way that it's in all of these sports, they're opening portals up before the season's over with.
Right.
Right.
Like that's happening while he's in Omaha.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
On phone calls in Omaha.
It's crazy.
While we were there.
Okay, let's take a step back. The guy who took the LSU job to build the roster for 2026 had to leave a team in the playoffs.
Right.
And was trading his assistants back and forth.
Yes. Yes. And so like that's where I look at this and I say somebody in control of something has to. There are smart people who can make smart decisions. We just need to see that is going to happen because it shouldn't be a penalty for winning a national championship.
Right.
It shouldn't be.
Yeah.
And your focus has to be on winning a national championship. I mean, and the thing that is so uniquely just peculiar to college athletics is that these are institutions of higher education with very smart people who keep doing dumb things.
That's right.
Amazing how that works.
I remember in 18 and 19 and even into 20 before we got where everything was on Zoom, there'd be meetings amongst coaches and other things in a conference, and you have all these big meetings and everything, and there were people at the highest level of leadership that would be like, "Don't worry, that's not going to happen," and then
clockwork.
I mean, every single one of them would happen.
Right.
I remember we had a meeting when NIL was coming in. There was somebody who came in to pitch about some organization that was going to handle all the clearinghouse of all the NIL stuff. This one particular guy says, "Well, I work with the NFLPA, and I can assure you that these very few players are going to get endorsement deals."
Yeah.
I said, "Really? Really? Very few players are going to get endorsement deals. Very few players are going to get endorsement deals. I mean, when you look at that what crosses our desk at the NFLPA, we have this, we've only had it was something like 16 players had this and 44 players had this." And I said, just out of curiosity, I said, I come at this from somebody who did local radio. I said, when there's a player from Central High School, is Jay Payne at Central Plumbing not going to do everything he can to make sure this kid's taken care of? And this guy looked at me like I had a horn coming out of my head.
Right.
And one of the other people in the room says, "That's not going to happen."
Oh yeah. Sweet. So you haven't met Jay.
Yeah, I'm like, what makes you think it's not going to happen?
Right.
I mean, and then it's never a situation where you want to be like, "Oh, see, I kind of told you so." But 2 years later, when everything comes in and everybody's like it's not even about the business doing this. It's just straight up, I'm just going to pay you.
Yeah. No,
and
right.
I mean,
it's pay for play all day, man.
Yeah.
It's pay for play all day.
Well, it's.
I know it can't be, but
it is.
But that's just it though. Is that look, there are very smart people who can come up with meaningful solutions to this. Okay, and there are some things that are starting to get that way that lead me to be a little optimistic that there may be some things that'll be smartly done. But at the end of the day, if you're still looking at this and you don't want to have a situation where you collective bargain, because if you collective bargain, then you can have it where in order to have someone who does that deal, they have to be certified, just like the NFLPA, MLBPA, and NBAPA. And if you do that, then you're able to make sure that there's uniformity with the contracts. You're able to make sure that, because right now the state laws can trump everything else.
yeah.
Right.
And there are some states that are very aggressive, and there are other states that are like, that doesn't really mean anything to us. And look, you're always going to have a situation where, state taxes and things of other sort can do all this. And then players are, there's not a uniform thing in terms of what they're paying representation. Some players are playing as much as 25%.
How in the world?
To representation.
That is amazing.
And on the pro side, that's nothing ever comes close to that.
It's 2-3%, right?
On a high end guy, 3%. I mean,
Yeah.
I've heard stories of 4%, but I mean, no one's ever coming close to double digits, much less 25.
25%. I mean, that should be illegal.
So think about it. If you're Tulane and you sign a kid at $500,000 and he's paying 25% to his representation, then $125,000 of your money is going to the agent. It's not even on your roster.
Oh.
Like there are so many things
Sure.
where like getting to the point in time where everything's about the money means that you better hope that the faucets never turn off.
That's right.
Yep.
Because you have this product that seems like you can't screw it up. For as much as we beleaguer it and criticize it and talk about it all off season, when we get into the 3-month window, it's the drug. We all show up. We're all
Right.
going to be there. We're
No matter
all
what.
watching. But it does feel like at some point you're going to start to lose people on this. Like you're going to start to push people away of the sense of if you're not playing the game and you're making money, it's going to turn people off to a point. I look at the Kansas example in basketball this year. The guy's name's slipped in my mind. He should be the number 1 pick.
Yeah. The kid he sat out all the time.
Yeah, he would play, then he'd kind of sit out. He like hamstring. I'm sick. I'm
By the way,
coughing.
10 years ago, you and I would have known this guy's name.
No doubt, no doubt. I mean, just rattle it off the top of my
Yeah.
head. But you know, like that turns people off. Even in Lawrence, Kansas,
Right.
where they think of basketball higher than they think of
That's right.
religion. They still look at this guy and they're like, I don't know. I don't know if I can get down with this.
Well,
like,
you're 100% correct, but here's the other thing that
I
I
gotta
wonder
Google
about.
the guy's name because I can't do this.
Hey, Google it. Google the 2019 LSU Auburn score too. But this is the thing that I think about quite often when you're talking about. Again, I say this all the time. All politics
Darren
are
Peterson.
local. Darren Peterson. Dude, get the 2019 score.
Right, yeah.
Keep going.
Back in the day, we just hit the mute button and be like,
You got that.
"You got that." But the thing that I think about all of the time, with regards to
23-20.
23-20, 3-point game.
Yeah.
I knew it was a 3-point game.
I said 21-19.
Yeah, but I knew it was a 3-point game. I just didn't know exactly. So if they score a touchdown,
Yeah, it's over.
Yeah.
Biggest play of the year.
they kick a field goal. It's tied. But I think about it all the time with regards to. All right, so you sign with LSU out of high school, and you play here, and maybe you don't have the greatest career of all time, but you play here, and you're an LSU guy. I can't tell you how many times I was sitting there, and there would be a former player that would walk in, and he would say, "Hey, Coach Nader, I need a job," and Coach Nader would pick up the phone, and he would find that guy a job because those people were LSU people, and they knew
100%.
that kid laid it all on the line in purple and gold in Tiger Stadium.
They have an example
Does
of this
that exist
happening
now?
right now on campus. You can speak to this. Dylan Moses, I love him. He speaks openly about this. So, I mean, I'm not talking about this, without his consent. I mean, he talks about this. He was great at Bama. He was a Butkus Award finalist. They won the national championship. He was committed to LSU. He was at U-High. He was going to wear number 7. All the things. Bama was at the king of the mountain at that time. Now he's back in Baton Rouge. Like he's told his brother Keelan, like, hey, man, if I had to do this again, I loved my experience.
Right.
But how, I live in Baton Rouge.
there's
I'm an
a-
LSU guy. Like,
but there's
I can
a reason
get
it's real.
jobs. I
That's
can
it,
work.
yeah.
I can.
But there's a reason why in recruiting you say it's not a 4-year decision; it's a 40-year decision.
40-year. Yeah.
And to me, how much of that experience is going to be lost? Where I signed with LSU, then I went to Troy for 2 years, and then I finished up at
In
Western
Cincinnati.
Kentucky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Like
You lose everything
Yeah, I mean,
know?
you
that this place can bring you.
Yeah. I mean, think about your
Yeah, I know.
experience.
I mean, it's totally different.
I mean,
when I
but
got
like the people you lived with.
yeah,
like you have those people
Coach Maneri
forever.
recruited me. It was like, oh, I'm going to LSU.
Right.
Like this is the place that I want to be because it's going to bring me whatever in like something like this.
Yeah.
After my time at LSU, and that's
Right.
why I stuck it out. And I was in the time where you didn't have to stick it out. And I started without NIL. NIL came in, and I saw it all change.
Yeah.
And this is just different here.
and that's where that is the opportunity cost of transferring is that when you get that degree,
Yeah.
okay, it may not be the greatest degree in the history of the world and all the other stuff like that, but the strings that are attached are connected to really strong things. And now we're at a point in time, I mean, I saw where, TJ Finley was at Incarnate Word, and he's not going to play. Didn't get the extra year. But I mean, like, I love TJ. I saw him in the airport a couple months ago. I was like, "What's up, bro? How we doing?" And like, it's almost like the Key and Peele skit where, like, TJ Finley, LSU, Auburn, Texas State, Western Tulane, Western Kentucky, Georgia State, like, and it for lack of a better thing, there's no other way to say this. It's like pro ball.
Yeah.
You just like you're a professional athlete, and the college experience is not what it was, which is kind of sad.
Yeah.
I'm also very happy. Like, I think that the players should be compensated, but I think that there's a sweet spot that we haven't even come close to addressing that solves a lot of these issues. And look, I work with coaches. I know people say all the time, well, coaches can leave whenever they want, and they can, but it costs money to buy out Will Wade to get him to LSU, right? It is not a situation where you sign a 1-year deal and at the end of the year everything's open. If we got to the point in time where we could do multi-year deals and things of that sort, that would solve a lot of issues, because again, like, I can't imagine every day having to wake up and go in, and when you say you're recruiting, it's not simply about the portal or high school kids. You're recruiting your own roster.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Every day.
Every day.
Right.
That's wild. That is incredibly wild. And that's kind of where it's at.
Last one. It's been great. We both love Verge. What do you make of the news of Verge now? AD overseeing football.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
Me too.
This is a
great
guy.
Right time, right? I mean,
right place, right time, right person.
yeah. That's exactly what we told him when he got here.
Yep.
And I will never go to sleep at night wondering if the athletic director at LSU is not doing everything he possibly can to put the best program on the field in Tiger Stadium. I love the addition of Heath. I love that they've created the structure that they've got in the athletic department right now. Julie Kramer's a stud. I got a chance to visit with her. Jimmy Burrow would always ask me, have you seen Julie Kramer? Have you seen Julie Kramer? So I got a chance to visit with her. She's really good, and you've got a situation where the athletic director knows how to win. Yeah. And this is a good place for LSU sports to be, to have the right guy in there running the athletic department and having everything set up for success in football.
Real quick, you've mentioned it a couple of times throughout the interview. You're working with a sports agency. What's your day-to-day like? What are you up to?
Just fielding phone calls and making sure that I can, in much the same way that I did with Coach O, making sure that we're preventing fires and trying to put them out. This is first day I worked for Ed Ogeron. He wrote it on a piece of paper. He tacked it behind my desk. It is better to prevent a fire than to put out a fire.
Very well said. Especially if you can see him coming around the corner.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes more than others, Jay.
Great to see you, my dog.
Love you, buddy.
Yes, indeed. Love you, man. There he is, Derek Ponamsky, the Prince. Great conversation. Make sure and check the whole thing out right here on Louisiana Loaded. Like, share, comment, subscribe all over social media. We'll be back with you next week right here on our YouTube channel, Louisiana Loaded from the Garage.